Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa man wala. Amma ba'du. Then here we are in the reading from Al-Qira'atu Rashida, reading number 18. And this reading is a poem, and you'll have to forgive me because poetry is not my cup of tea. Don't even want to say my strong point. It's not even a weak point, right? But inshallah ta'ala, with some help of some of the brothers, we were able to figure everything out, inshallah ta'ala. Because there are some typos in this text. Right? طيب. The title of this text is called Tarnimatul Waladi Fis Sabah. Tarnimatul Waladi Fis Sabah. Tarnima comes from Ra Nun Meen, and it's formed to meaning to sing or to recite in a sing-songy voice. Right? Could be to chant. It could be an anthem. Right? Something like that. Right? Tarnimatul Walad, the chanting of the child. Fis Sabah. Walad could be boy or could be child. It's used for both male and female. Al Walad could be the chanting of the boy or the chanting of the child Fis Sabah, in the morning. And Tarnimatul Walad is mudaf ilay, and Fis Sabah is jar wa majroor. Right? Tarnimatul Walad Fis Sabah. Alhamdulillah, we only have a few abyat, right, that we need to cover, so this class will not be long, inshallah ta'ala, as it is only, as we see, 8 abyat. The word bait is used for a stanza of poetry. Bait, just like the word house, but house becomes buyut. Right? If it's a house, it's buyut. Right? There's a little house, right? That's a bait. Buyut. If it's poetry, it becomes abyat. Abyat. Right? Abyat. So here we have thamani abyat. We have 8 lines of poetry. Or thamaniya abyat. Again, Tarnimatul Waladi Fis Sabahi, the chanting of the child in the morning. He says, Ashraqat Shamsu waqad walla dhalamu hariba. Now, one thing that we made brief mention of before, that poetry, they will cut out certain things which they deem unnecessary in order to fit the measure of poetry. Unlike poetry in English, especially in modern days where it's free, you can change the pattern and do all of that. Arabic poetry has certain styles that must be stuck to, right? And because of that, they will cut out certain letters or vowels in order to make the measure of poetry match. So we'll find that here, inshallah. So the first stanza or the first line are part of the poetry. Ashraqat shamsu waqad. Ashraqa is from Sheen Ra Qaf, meaning to rise. This is form 4. Like al-mashriq wal-maghrib, al-mashriq, the east and the west. It's called the east because it's the place where the sun rises. Al-Mashriq wal-Maghrib. And Maghrib is called the west. It's called Al-Maghrib, the Gharb, because it's the place where the sun sets. So this is form 4, meaning to rise. Ashraqat ash-shamsu. This kasra here is for reading purposes, right? Because we have a ashraqat with a sukoon, and shams here, this first sheen would have a sukoon. We can't have that, so we put a kasra there for reading purposes. So ashraqat ash-shamsu. Shamsu is the fa'il, so it is marfu'. It is nominative. It's the doer here. The sun rose. Waqad. Waqad here is a particle of emphasis. Walla al-dhalamu hariba. Walla is from waw, lam, ya, or alif maksura, right? You look it up in the dictionary, for instance, Hamza where you look at a waw, lam, ya, right? Walla, this is form 2. This is form 2 of the verb, meaning to run away or to flee, right? Al-dhalamu, al-dhalamu, al-dhalamu from dhad, lam, mim, like dhulm, dhalimun. Here it means darkness. The dhalam is the darkness. Hariba from ha, ra, ba, meaning to escape, to run away, to flee. Similar to the word walla. But here if we reread that line, that bait, it says, أشرقت الشمس وقد ولا الظلام هاربا. The sun rose and verily the darkness, and the darkness is marfu because it is the fa'il of walla. And the darkness fled or turned away, escaping. أشرقت الشمس وقد ولا الظلام هاربا. The sun rose and the darkness, indeed the darkness, turned away, escaping or fleeing. فالشكر لله الأحد شكر عظيما واجبا. So he says فالشكر. So fa is so, الشكر we know is thank you or thanks. الشكر is thanks. فالشكر لله is to Allah. So thanks be to Allah. Al-Ahad, that's his name, one of Allah's names. Al-Ahad, the one. Shukran aziman wajiba. Shukran, this is again a thanks. Aziman, a tremendous thanks. Wajiba, and we'll get in wajiba here, obligatory. And what we mean by what we said, poetry sometimes cut stuff off and all of that for the meaning, then normally we would write a fatatain on hariban, wajiban, just as we wrote fatatain here on these two, because it has the same thing. It's the condition. It's the condition of, right, the shukr, right, aziman, wajiban. However, because we wouldn't pronounce it, then we won't write it. Whatever we don't pronounce in Arabic, for instance, sabah, we pronounce the alif there, right? We pronounce the alif there. But fis sabah, we really don't pronounce this ya. For when we're reading the word fi, for instance, fi baitin. When we read Quran, we say fi baitin, for example. Right? In a house. Fi is going to be long. But if I say fil bait, you may have heard that I did not pronounce the fi as long. I didn't say fil bait. I said fil bait. I dropped the ya. Why? Because the lam is sakin, and this fi, this ya is sakin. And we can't have two sakin letters next to each other, so we just drop the weak one. So we say fil bait. Fil bait. Right? So in poetry, if this line was to be written, fis sabahi, then it would probably just be written like that. And maybe they wouldn't for helping or learning purposes, or for whatever other reason they might have, because they want to make it match the measure of poetry. But this happens. Whatever we don't pronounce, we don't write. That's the general rule. So sometimes this alif would not be written for al-ahad, right? This alif might not be written. We might just say fashukr. They might just, poetry is strange in that way. So anyway, let's read these two lines again, because they are the ones rhyming and matching. أشرقت الشمس وقد ولى الظلام هاربا فالشكر لله الأحد شكرا عظيما واجبا. The sun rose, and verily the darkness flew or fled, escaping. So thankness is for Allah al-Ahad, the one. Shukran azim and wajiba, a tremendous obligatory thankfulness. Then bait 3, Ma ahsana nura ara fihi al-umura basima. Basima. This should be a fatha on the ba and not a kasra. ما أحسن النور أرى فيه الأمور باسما. ما أحسن. There's a difference between ما أحسن and ما أحسن. ما أحسن. There's a story of one of the people in the past who deals with the Arabic grammar, and who it is right now escapes me. But his child asked him, if I'm not mistaken, maybe his daughter, she asked him, but it was his child, Ma ahsanu as-sama, or something like that. What is the greatest in the sky? And she used the word ahsanu, or ma ajmalu. She used this. And he answered, like for instance, al-qamar. And she said, no. I was trying to tell you how beautiful is the sky. The point here, without having the story in front of us, the point here is, ma ahsanu is a question. What is the best thing, right? Ma ahsana is a way of like exclaiming or being amazed. Ma ahsana hada al-qamar. How great is this? Or ma ahsana as-sama. How great is the sky? Versus ma ahsanu sama. What is the greatest of the sky? So ahsana is a way of exclaiming or grandizing something. So here, ma ahsana nura ara fihi al-umuru basima. Ma ahsana nura, like how great, how tremendous or excellent is the light, an-nur. Ara, I see. From ra'a yara. Ara, I see. Fihi, I see in it. Al-umura, what do I see? I see the umur, the affairs. Right? Basima. Right? How excellent is the light I see in it, meaning the light of the sun, or with it, it could be the light of the sun. Al-umur, the affairs, meaning the affairs that we're going to face that day. Basima. Basima is really basimatun. But because of the poetry, like I said, whatever we don't pronounce, we don't write. So since we're not saying basimatun, and he wants you to stop on the ha, on the ta marbuta as a ha, then he does not write the two dots nor the tanween. However, if he wants you to pronounce it, then he will write it, as we see in the last two lines, that he writes that kasra there, because in order to make the poetry match in measure, right, in measure, then you have to pronounce that syllable. So for instance, if we were to read right here and say, min kulli sharrin fi dhalam, shukrin lahu ala dawam, it matches, it rhymes, but it doesn't match the rhyme of the measure of the poetry. The measure of the poetry that he has here, it does not match. So we have to say, min kulli sharrin fi dhalami, shukrin lahu ala dawami. So keep that in mind when reciting other lines of poetry, because sometimes in, for instance, the poem of Qawaid al-Fiqhiyya, al-Qawaid al-Fiqhiyya of Sa'di, at the ends, in order to keep the measure proper, you need to recite the vowels that are there. And sometimes they're missing, and that's because he doesn't want you to recite them in order to keep the measure. So that's something we have to keep in mind. Ma ahsanu nura ara fihi al-umura basima. How splendid is the light I see in it. Affairs, basima. Basima meaning from ba, sim, mim, meaning to smile. Basima meaning smiling. This child is meeting his day smiling. He's ready and ready to attack whatever he needs to attack that day. وَالطَّيْرُ تَشْدُو سَحَرًا عَلَى الْغُصُونِ قَائِمًا. وَالطَّيْرُ, and the bird, tashdu, or we could say birds. This alif lam does not have to be the alif lam of istighraq. It could be the alif lam of, or it could be the alif lam of istighraq. It doesn't have to be the alif lam of ma'rifa, meaning it doesn't have to be the bird. It could be the alif lam, meaning the alif lam of jins. The alif lam of jins, meaning it covers all kinds of that, right? For instance, when we say the human being was on the earth for so many years, we don't mean a human or the single human. We mean the human, right? The human, right? All humans. So same thing here. وَالطَّيْرُ, and the birds, tashdu sahara. Tashdu from sheen, dal, wow. Sheen, dal, wow. Meaning to sing or to chant or to chirp, right? Since it's a bird, but it's talking about singing. Tashdu sahara. Sahara is the time of daybreak or dawn. وَالطَّيْرُ تَشْدُو سَحَرًا, and the birds sing at dawn or daybreak. عَلَى الْغُصُونِ قَائِمَةً. عَلَى الْغُصُونِ قَائِمَةً. عَلَى, upon, غُصُون. غُصُون is the plural of غُصن, meaning branch. غُصُون is the branch, right? غُصُون is the branch, branches. قَائِمَةً is standing, from qaf, waw, mim. قَائِمَةً. Why? Right? Because it's a group of them and we're talking about them, so we talk about them in the feminine. And again, this should be a ta marbuta with a tanween. But because we don't pronounce it, we don't write it. Because we don't pronounce it, we don't write it. So we'll read those two lines. ما أحسن النور أرى فيه الأمور باسمة. How Splendid is the light. How great is the light that I see in it or with it the affairs, smiling. Basima is the hal of the person who is looking at the affairs he has ahead of them for that day. وَالطَّيْرُ تَشْدُ سَحَرًا عَلَى الْغُصُونِ قَائِمًا. And the birds sing saharan, and I should be reciting that like that, saharan, not sahara. I should be reciting it saharan for the poetry. The birds are singing at dawn or daybreak, على الغصون قائما, upon the branches standing. ما أحسن النور الباهي فيه أجد عاملا. And how splendid is the light, al-bahi. How excellent is the light. Excellent would be better here. Al-bahi from ba-ha-ya, meaning splendid or radiant. Right? How excellent is the radiant light. Fihi, in it, ajiddu amila. Ajiddu from Jim Dal, here meaning to take something seriously or to work hard. Amila. Amila is the condition here of how he's working, of what he's doing. Tashdi'a. Ajiddu amila. I take basically my working seriously. Ajiddu amila. Amilan. It would be amilan normally, but we're not pronouncing the tanween there. Amila is like how he's working. He's working. I'm doing, what am I doing? I'm working. Ajiddu. And I'm working hard. I'm taking it seriously. Ma ahsanu nur al-bahi. How excellent is the radiant light. Fihi ajiddu amila. In it, I work and take my work seriously. Inni awaddu da'iman. Inni, verily I, awaddu from waw dal. Awaddu is to wish. Awaddu da'iman, verily I wish. Always, da'iman is always. Ala akunu khamila. Ala is a conjugation of an plus la. That. Akuna. An akuna. An akuna. And akunu is mansub after an. But an is in a conjugation here, right? And la is a negation. An akuna would be that I. But an ala akuna, that I don't be khamila. Khamilan or khamila, because we're not pronouncing the tanween there. Then khamila is from kha, mim, lam, meaning to be sluggish or to be weak. To be sluggish or to be weak. So he says here, ما أحسن النور الباهي فيه أجد عاملا إني أود دائما ألا أكون خاملا. He says, how excellent is the radiant light. Fihi, in it, I am being serious in my work. I'm taking my work serious. Inni awaddu da'iman, verily I always wish, ala akuna khamila, that I'm not weak and sluggish. Then he says, Allahu qad ajarani min kulli sharrin fi dhalami. Allah, qad, here's an emphasis, right? Again, ajarani. Ajarani from Jim, Waw, Ra. Form 4, meaning to protect. قد أجارني الله قد أجارني Allah indeed protected me من كل شر في ظلامي from every evil in the darkness. من كل is majrur after min, شر is majrur after كل مضاف إليه, في الظلام and ظلام is majrur after في. He protected me from every evil in the darkness. شكرا له قد صانني شكرا له على الدوام. He says شكرا له, thanks lahu, to him or for him, thanks to him. This is a way of thanking Allah, right? Thanks to him. قد, and again emphasis, صانني from صاد واو noon, صانني, to protect, right? Again, like ajarani, sanani, similar word, to protect, to preserve, to safeguard. Sanani, he protected me, he safeguarded me. Shukran lahu ala dawami, shukran lahu, thanks to him. Ala dawami, ala dawam meaning at all times, at every. Dawam and da'ima are from the same root, right? Dawam meaning all the time. Da'iman meaning always or forever. Right? So inshallah ta'ala we'll read it again. We'll read the whole line of poetry. We'll read it every 2 lines and translate. And then we'll read the whole poetry in Arabic. Inshallah ta'ala. And then maybe we'll see how we feel about English. So it says, Tarnimatul waladi fi sabah, the chanting of a child in the morning. Ashraqat shamsu waqad walad dhalamu hariba. Fashukru lillahi al-ahad, shukran aziman wajiba. The sun rose, and indeed the darkness flew or fled, escaping. So thanks is to Allah, the One. A tremendous, obligatory thankfulness. Ma ahsana nura ara fihi al-umuru basima wa tayru tashdu saharan ala al-ghusuni qa'ima. And how excellent is the light, I see in it or with it the affairs smiling. And the birds sing at dawn, on the branches standing. Ma ahsana nurul bahi fihi ajiddu amila inni awaddu da'iman ala akuna khamila. He says, how excellent is the radiant light. In it, I am working hard, are taking seriously my work, or that I am working. Indeed, I always wish that I do not become, or that I am not sluggish and weak. Allahu qad ajarani min kulli sharrin fi dhalami, shukran lahu qad sanani, shukran lahu ala dawami. Indeed, Allah protected me from every evil in the darkness. Thanks to him, he has preserved and safeguarded me. Thanks to him at all times. So now I'm going to read it once more in all Arabic 1 through 8, and then I'll translate it in English, and we'll probably leave it at that, inshallah. أشرقت الشمس وقد ولا الظلام حاربا فالشكر لله الأحد شكر عظيما واجبا ما أحسن النور أرى فيه الأمور باسما والطير تشدو سهرا على الغصون قائما ما أحسن النور البهي فيه أجد عاملا إني أود دائما ألا أكون خاملا الله قد أجارني من كل شر في الظلام شكر له قد صانني شكرا له على الدوام. And again, just a rough English translation of the whole poem. It says, the sun rose, and verily the darkness fled away, escaping. So thanks is to Allah, the One, a tremendous obligatory thanks. How excellent is the light that I see in it or with it, the affairs smiling, and the birds sing in the dawn or at dawn, at daybreak, upon the branches standing. How excellent is the radiant light in it. I take seriously the work that I'm doing. Verily, I always wish, or I wish always, that I not be sluggish and weak. Allah, He has protected me from every evil in the darkness. Thanks are to Him or for Him. He has preserved me, safeguarded me. Thanks to Him at all times. I hope that's clear. As I said in the beginning, poetry is not something that I usually if there's just one of these baits or even a half a bait inside a book when I'm reading it, many times I will skip it. It's not something that I love, but I need to work on it and get better at it. So hopefully us reading this together will be of benefit. If there's any questions, then as always, I would say to you, you can contact me at the email gbtw@sbcglobal.net. Right, that's the W. All right, or on WhatsApp at 1-314-828-8060. All right. With that, we hope you benefited. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.